Welcome back, Patriots, for a special edition of the Dark MAGA Podcast, where we explore the news, the headlines, everything that you need to know about with a little bit of a pizzazz into it, a little bit of entertainment for you, a little bit of impersonation. If you're new here to the channel, well, welcome to the Bald Brad channel. We host the Bald Brad Show in the mornings, weekdays, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then every Tuesday, Thursday, we get a little bit spicy, don't we? We put on the Dark MAGA hat and we cover the news and we're unapologetic about it. It's unfiltered to an extent today because we're not on Rumble Premium. Today, we are doing all access, baby, on YouTube, Rumble, and X, folks. Look, there's some people that want to join Dark MAGA every now and then, and we got to give the people what they want. But usually it is on Rumble Premium. So if you're not over at Rumble, well, head over there and enjoy Rumble Premium, folks. I understand things are tight, but it does support a good cause, and that is Rumble over there who is taking care of us. Now, we're going to go to our bread and butter, which is the White House press briefing. Some of you may have saw it. It was yesterday. We covered a teensy bit of it during today's morning broadcast. But we are going to jump fully into it, and then we're going to come back and kind of peruse the internet and go over all the breaking news that's going on this evening, because you got the Department of Education, who technically I guess I am a part of, is gone, kaput, you're going to be evaporated, and there could be some legal consequences to this. How's it going to affect you and your kid and your locality and your state? We're going to break it all down for you, folks. We'll let you know what's going on inside the classroom. You are talking to an educator myself. I've been around the block for a bit. I've worked in public and private schools, folks, so I know what is going on and what is not being told to you. With that being said, smash that like button, folks. It really does support us. And it's going to be kind of interesting here to see how this evening goes because, like I said, we're open to everybody. And without further ado, we're running into yesterday's White House press briefing where a lot of things were announced, a lot of things were talked about, and quite frankly, I hope it gets a little spicy. Here we go.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Let's go, baby!
How are we? It's a newsy day indeed. And last night we saw the very best of America. After spending nearly 300 days aboard the International Space Station, Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams are back on Earth. These two incredible astronauts were only supposed to be up there for 8 days, but because of the Biden administration's lack of urgency, they ended up spending 9 months in space. Joe Biden's lack of courage to act boldly and decisively was a big reason why Butch and Sunny did not make it back until yesterday. But
I'll be honest, Butch is such a rough name nowadays. I'm sorry if you know anybody with the name Butch, but I mean, every time I think of Butch, I think of lesbian haircut. So I told you, Dark MAGA is unfettered, unapologetic. That's just what I think of Butch. I think of Butch haircut.
President Trump doesn't waste time. Immediately after taking office, President Trump directed Elon Musk and SpaceX to rescue these brave astronauts alongside NASA. The president also called the acting administrator of NASA and told her to bring the astronauts home as soon as possible. As acting administrator Janet Petro said herself yesterday, per President Trump's direction, NASA and SpaceX worked diligently to pull the schedule a month earlier. The president looks forward to welcoming Butch and Sunny to the Oval Office when they are recovered. This historic mission brings new meaning to President Trump's promise to always look out for the forgotten man and woman. On another important matter, yesterday, President Trump and President Putin spoke about the need for peace and a ceasefire in the Ukraine war. Both leaders agreed this conflict needs to end with a lasting peace and also stressed the need for improved bilateral relations between the United States and Russia. President Trump also spoke with President Zelensky this morning to align both Russia and Ukraine in terms of their needs and requests. As President Trump has said repeatedly, the precious lives and money that both Ukraine and Russia have been spending in this war would be better spent on the needs of their people. This terrible conflict would have never started with President Trump in charge, but he's determined to end it once and for all. President Trump also promised maximum transparency and a commitment to rebuild the trust of the American people and our intelligence community. Part of that promise was to fully release previously classified records related to the assassination of former President John F. Kennedy, and he made that happen yesterday. This historic release consisted of approximately 80,000 pages of previously classified records that are now published. The records are available to access either online at archives.gov/JFK or in person, accessible to the American people at the National Archives in College Park, Maryland. Records that are currently only available for in-person viewing are being digitized and will be uploaded in the coming days. On another note, positive economic data continues to pour in, showing the immediate impact of President Trump's pro-growth agenda. After suffering a steep decline in the final year of the Biden administration, the manufacturing sector came roaring back in February. Industrial production surged in February. These are new numbers. 3 times at a greater 3 times rate than the expectations to its highest ever recorded level. And President Trump
All right, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I love you guys. So there's like multiple chats going on. YouTube's like rated PG right now. Rumble, because Dark MAGA, like I told you, is generally a premium only. Tarbox comes in and goes, Dark motherfucking MAGA, good evening, Patriots and Patriot family. That's how the dude enters the chat. Oh, God. Good morning, Vietnam is basically what he just did.
Laser focus on massive deregulation and unleashing our domestic energy industry is leading to stabilities for Americans' bottom lines. As Newsweek summed it up today, gas prices are plummeting under President Trump. And the Trump administration continues to make American communities safer through our ongoing mass deportation campaign of illegal alien criminals.
Oh, Jesus, who the hell's that guy? I'm glad you guys are appreciating that. Miss Smith, are you new to the Bald Brad channel? It's good seeing you. If you are, if you're not, well, maybe you made a name change. The name looks new. Welcome. We're glad to have you here with us. Does anybody else notice? I'm just going to go back just a teensy bit. Why does the left not want to talk about this all of a sudden? They didn't want to talk about it when Joey caused our gas prices to go through the roof. If you recall, the slogan was the Putin price hike. It's Putin this, it's Putin that. But yet, Joe Biden's the one that caused them to skyrocket. We showed the graph. Ted Cruz was the one that famously held it up during a congressional hearing. But then when gas prices went down under Joey for like a blip of a second, he was the one that we were supposed to kiss his gross ass feet. Ugh. We're supposed to rub his shoulders. We're supposed to let him sniff all the children he wanted because gas prices went down a penny. Left can't do anything, right? They can't congratulate Donald Trump for this. Of course not. He can't do anything good, according to them. So nice job, Trump. Nice job. Not really feeling it in the state of California as much, but it's not his fault. We're ran by Democrats and progressive lefties here.
Safer through our ongoing mass deportation campaign of illegal alien criminals. Yesterday, FBI Director Kash Patel announced the agency captured another fugitive from its 10 most wanted list, securing the extradition of Francisco Javier Roman Bardeles, a key senior leader of the brutal...
Don't give the guy the credit by posting his whole stupid name. It's Francisco Bardeles, homie.
MS-13 gang. And the brave men and women of ICE also arrested a number of dangerous aliens across the country in recent days. You will see them on this screen. ICE San Francisco just arrested a citizen of Guatemala convicted of sexual battery. ICE New Orleans arrested a citizen of Ecuador convicted of rape in Suffolk County, New York. ICE Atlanta arrested a citizen of Mexico convicted of assault by strangulation. ICE Dallas arrested a citizen of Mexico convicted of assault with a firearm and rape with a foreign object. And ICE Houston arrested a citizen of Guatemala convicted of indecent sexual contact with a child in Texas.
All right, I'll be fair. This guy actually looks like he would just do something like that. Like out of all of them, this guy looks like the crime that he committed. Can we be honest with each other? Right? Am I wrong? What are you doing, Henrique?
These are heinous criminal alien monsters who the previous administration allowed to flood into our country. And every time President Trump and this team deport one of them, our country becomes safer. Finally, before
Eric Birch with the $5. The man is back. We missed him. Eric Birch. Send some prayers for him, folks. He said, hey, Patriot fam, still down with my injury. Hope you're doing okay, brother. But it's good to see you back, man. We missed you. And we'll be praying for you, dude. Hopefully you can heal quickly. Did you hurt your back or something? I can't remember. I think you hurt your back, right? Let us know in the chat. We'd love to send out some prayers. And it's always best to be specific. Power of prayer is effective. Now, Eric, you showed up just in time because this guy's a child convicted sex contact person. Jesus. Looks like a Muppet.
Before I open it up to questions, I want to tout how successful our efforts have been in filling out President Trump's administration. There have been a record number of 281 Senate confirmed nominations already, with another 280 in process. Here at the White House, OPM and GSA, we have filled 100% of the total number of slots. And this is a record number of placements in the first 58 days of any administration, and a testament to the caliber and the sheer quantity of talented people who want to work for President Trump to make America great again. Here in our new media seat today, we have Katie Pavlich. Katie is the editor of townhall.com, which is a subsidiary of Town Hall Media. It's a leading conservative news and opinion outlet based right here in Washington, D.C., with writers and journalists reporting around the country. Last year, Town Hall Media had 60 million unique users and 1.4 billion page views, with a broad reach on a number of social media platforms. With that, Katie, please kick us off.
Never heard of him before. That's cool.
I really appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you. So given the back and forth with this U.S. District Judge and the administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act, does the president plan to send new and additional flights of Venezuelan gang members, now designated as foreign terrorists, from the U.S. to El Salvador or elsewhere? Can Americans expect to see those flights sometime soon?
Please, Tom! Donald, if you can hear me! Donald! Please say yes. Please! I think we all want to see the planes flying, right? Knowing there's violent gang members leaving our airways. Just bye-bye, El Salvador, here they come.
Americans can absolutely expect to see the continuation of the mass deportation campaign that has been successfully led by this president, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and also our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Since you brought up the judges, I would like to point out that the judges in this country are acting erroneously. We have judges who are acting as partisan activists from the bench. They are trying to dictate policy from the President of the United States. They are trying to clearly slow walk this administration's agenda, and it's unacceptable. As the President said last night, we will continue to comply with these court orders. We will continue to fight these battles in courts, but it's incredibly apparent that there is a concerted effort by the far left to judge shop, to pick judges who are clearly acting as partisan activists from the bench in an attempt to derail this president's agenda. We will not allow that to happen. And not only are they usurping the will of the president and the chief executive of our country, but they are undermining the will of the American public, tens of millions of Americans who duly elected this president to implement the policies that are coming out of this White House.
She's coming in hot, baby. And somebody else coming in hot is Kathleen. Holy lordy, girl. $10 over at YouTube. Thank you so much. You're keeping the lights on here for us, quite literally. Thank you. Appreciate you. Always something at work. Can't always chat. Always sometimes at work, rather. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for letting us know that you're always listening, but you're just not able to join every once in a while. It's really cool because a lot of you do. You're little lurkers sometimes. And I miss you. I want you to come and join us because what makes this show great is you guys in the chat. It's our community. It's our movement that we have here, really. It's not about this. The news will always be there. It's about the friends and the family we've created here, the Bald Brad Army. Appreciate everybody that gets to join us. Tarbox to $5. Send all libtards. Jesus. I'm telling you, Ruppel's just a whole different thing, dude. Jason says, send all libtards. I can't even get it out. Freaking A. Send all libtards to El Salvador with their buddies. $5. Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate that. Somebody else had a really funny comment in here earlier. I got to see if I can find it. It was something about Brad let all those pories in or something. Guys, I love you. Thank you so much for always supporting. No, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I really do feel adults are in the room now. They were trying to turn this country into a freaking circus. Absolutely correct. They're still trying with these judges.
Said yesterday that he was united with Democrats and working against America.
All right, we need to talk about this real quick. I apologize. I promise I'll let her get to the question, but here's the bigger one. What are you doing with that camera, you freak? You taking photos of feet? I'm not a feet guy, never have been. I don't get the whole thing between guys and wanting to see chicks' feet. I really, hand to God, I don't understand it. There's probably some of you in this chat. You probably should go over to Rumble. But what is he doing? Like, what is he taking a photo of? Seriously. All right, I'm sorry.
Americans who, quote, their attitude is, I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? Or, I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how to treat my customers? What is the president's response to this, given his upcoming tax agenda and need to work on Capitol Hill?
Well, we certainly hope that Democrats all of a sudden are for more money in the pockets of the American public. The president has made it incredibly clear that he is committed to tax cuts. He is committed to passing a big reconciliation package later this year, ending no taxes on tips, taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security for our hardworking seniors. And we encourage everybody on Capitol Hill to support that when it comes to the finish line, especially Democrats who clearly need a boost from the American public right now. Their approvals are at an all-time record.
Oh, yeah, they
Thanks
are.
for
It's
being
bad.
with us, Katie. Garrett.
It's terrible.
I have one other question, but I want to follow up on Katie's question, actually. You said the mass deportation campaign would continue, but she asked about the flights specifically. Will those flights to El Salvador continue while this case is being...
It's a good follow-up.
We don't have any flights planned specifically, but we will continue with the mass deportations. And I would just like to point out that the judge in this case is essentially trying to say that the president doesn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists from our American soil. That is an egregious abuse of the bench. This judge does not have that authority. It is the opinion of this White House and of this administration, and that's why we're fighting this in court. And it's very, very clear that this is an activist judge who is trying to usurp the president's authority. Under the Alien Enemies Act, the president has this power, and that's why this deportation campaign has continued. And this judge, Judge Boasberg, is a Democrat activist.
Yes,
he was appointed by Barack Obama. His wife has donated more than $10,000 to Democrats, and he has consistently shown his disdain for this president and his policies, and it's unacceptable.
You took me right where I wanted to go about the idea that these people are all foreign terrorists, but Judge Boasberg was originally appointed by George W. Bush and then elevated by Barack Obama. I just feel like I should clear that up.
Well, let me
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Just, I thought I would want to clear that up. Smug little shit. I hope she just, God, little body shots, right? Nothing too powerful. Because you want to get them in close. If you're soft, right, they're going to get comfortable. And you let them be like, boom, just right in the kisser. Little smart ass right here, huh? Here we go.
Let me just say something to that effect, Garrett. 67% of all of the injunctions in this century have come against which president? Donald J. Trump. Let me say that again. 60% of the injunctions by partisan activists in the judicial branch have come against President Donald Trump, and 92% of those have been from Democrat-appointed judges.
Damn, she was ready.
This is a clear, concerted effort by leftists who don't like this president and are trying to impose or slow down his agenda.
So, given that...
I told you, you let him in close, right? You're almost whispering. What's the guy's name? Chuck? Dumb shit? Is his name Dumb shit or Chuck? Chuck? Greg? Fuck, I don't know. Hey, come here, little buddy. Oh, right in the kisser. You know what I mean? You just give him it. And you don't use these. You bring the elbows out. You know what I mean? Just, you don't even fight him with your, I look like a Democrat now. Yeah, we're gonna get you. Hold on a second. I'm so sorry. You don't even fight him with the hands. You fight him with the elbows. You know what I mean? You just start kicking him.
Do you think it's a good use of Congress's time and the president's political capital try to impeach and remove a federal judge, which would take 67 votes you're unlikely to get in the Senate?
Well, look, the president has made it clear that he believes this judge in this case should be impeached, and he has also made it clear that he has great respect for the Chief Justice John Roberts, and it's incumbent upon the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges. These partisan activists are undermining the judicial branch by doing so. We have co-equal branches of government for a reason, and the president feels very strongly about that. Jackie.
All right, here we go. We always got to give her introduction. This is one of the greats, folks. The one and only. Sometimes she comes out as the gladiator. Most often, she's our Wonder Woman. She speaks on behalf of the American people, and she's a little bit sassy about it. This is Jackie Heinrich of Fox News. Let's do it.
Options does the president have to, he says he's going to follow court orders. He wouldn't defy a court order, but he's raised these concerns about these judges acting in such a partisan way. What option does he have to ensure that his agenda continues to move forward while this is ongoing and the judges appear to be trying to just block and delay and impede?
Well, you're right. They are trying to block, delay, and impede. This is lawfare. The president is no stranger to it. He faced it in his campaign, and this is a continuation of the lawfare that President Trump faced as a candidate, and he's now unfortunately facing as a president. Clearly, these partisan activists in the judicial branch didn't get the memo on November 5th when the American people overwhelmingly re-elected this president to continue with mass deportations. So White House counsel and the Department of Justice are working on this. They're appealing these cases, and we will continue to use the full weight of the White House counsel's office and the president's team of lawyers to fight this in court, because we know we will win, even if we have to go all the way to the Supreme Court.
One more on PDA. Andy McCarthy said in an interview with Hugh Hewitt, he certainly agrees with what the president is trying to do with the Alien Enemies Act, but he's not sure that the law is completely on his side. He cites some previous Supreme Court rulings dealing with enemy combatants in wartime, says that even they have a challenge or a right to challenge their detention in court. He raised concern also that while TDA has been designated as a terrorist organization, these individuals hadn't been prosecuted for terrorism. So my question is, will the president ask Congress potentially to declare war on these cartels for the invasion that he's talked about so that he's on stronger legal footing?
Well,
Damn! I told you she's Wonder Woman for a reason. Not only is she hot, but she has brains, folks. Could you imagine declaring war? Holy lordy, man. I didn't even think about it, but the possibilities are endless with that one. Can we just point out again that these people are illegal immigrants? I don't even, look, the conversation doesn't even need to be had that they're gang members, criminals. They're illegal. Illegal, homie. Not welcome here, fool. I tell you what, man, my name is Joker, and you're not even supposed to be here, fool. I came here. I grew up in the hood. You know what I'm saying? They're a little Crip Walk, little LLPG, SSMG. It's outside Playgirls, homie. We don't mess around on 17th Street. I'll tell you what, fool. You don't belong here, homie. This is my crib, my hood. This is my sidewalk, you see.
Well, we absolutely disagree with the legal opinion of the individual that you mentioned. We would not have moved forward with this if we didn't believe the president. This was within the president's executive authority to continue with this mass deportation effort under the authority provided to him under the Alien Enemies Act. And when you read the act, as I did last time at the podium, a predatory incursion is absolutely what has happened with Tren de Aragua. They have been sent here by the hostile Maduro regime in Venezuela, and the president, immediately upon taking office, designated TDA as a foreign terrorist organization. And under this act, it is within the president's authority to deport these terrorists. And anybody trying to defend these terrorists who have now been sent off of American soil should talk to the families of the individuals who these heinous monsters have killed and have raped. If you talk to those families, they are so heartened by the president's decision to take tough action and to use his executive authority, something that no other president has been willing to do, because President Trump does what he says he's going to do, and he is deporting these foreign terrorists from American soil to secure our homeland, and he's within his rights to do that.
And not just secure the homeland, but to make America great again, folks. Again, these people are raping our wives, our girlfriends, our fellow Americans, and their children. They're taking them and selling them off into forced labor. I am not exaggerating. There are famous leftist YouTubers out there, influencers, if that's what you want to call them, influencing people to be more stupid. saying that the Biden administration didn't lose 130,000 plus children, folks. They think that's completely made up number, completely fabricated. They think Doge isn't real. Remember when we were the party of conspiracy theory, and then we ended up being right about everything, but they're actually the party of conspiracy theory, where their conspiracy theories are going to end up being wrong and completely fabricated, like their entire narrative. And how do we know that? Because Doge found out about it, and Doge called them out the fact that their entire narrative has been funding on the backs of the taxpayer. That's why it's all fake. No reality.
Jennifer.
Very quickly on Tesla, there's a website that's trying to dox Tesla
Jerry.
owners across the country and saying they're only going to take down personal information when people show that they've sold their cars. What's the administration going to do about that?
I haven't seen that website, but we certainly think it's despicable, the violence that has taken place against Tesla, the company, its employees, and also just Americans who have chosen to drive an electric vehicle. Many of them are Democrats, by the way. Democrats were big supporters of Tesla and of electric vehicles until Elon Musk decided to vote for Donald Trump. So we would like Democrats to also come out and condemn this heinous violence that we have seen. And I believe the Attorney General has said she's investigating these incidents as acts of domestic terrorism. Jennifer.
On Ukraine, can you say, is the White House going to pause foreign military aid or intelligence sharing with Ukraine, as Russia says it's pushing for? And then I have a follow-up on the federal...
That's a good question.
Sure. When it comes to Ukraine, I do have a statement for you from the National Security Advisor and also the Secretary of State. First, I'd like to reiterate what the President said earlier following his call with President Zelensky this morning. He said he just completed a very good telephone call with President Zelensky. It lasted approximately 1 hour. Much of the discussion was based on the call made yesterday with President Putin in order to align both Russia and Ukraine in terms of their requests and needs. We are very much on track, and I will ask Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz to give an accurate description of the points discussed. That statement will be put out shortly. Well, I have that statement for you right here. Bear with me as I read it. Today, President Trump and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky had a fantastic phone conversation. President Zelensky thanked President Trump for a productive start for the work of the Ukrainian and American teams in Jeddah on March 11th. The meeting of the senior officials from both nations significantly helped in moving toward ending the war. President Zelensky thanked President Trump for the support of the United States, especially the Javelin missiles that President Trump was first to provide in his efforts towards peace. The leaders agreed Ukraine and America will continue working together to bring about a real end to the war, and that lasting peace under President Trump's leadership can be achieved. President Trump fully briefed President Zelensky on his conversation with Putin and the key issues discussed. They reviewed the situation in Kursk and agreed to share information closely between their defense staffs as the battlefield situation evolved. President Zelensky asked for additional air defense systems to protect his civilians, particularly Patriot missile systems, and President Trump agreed to work with him to find what was available, particularly in Europe. The two leaders also agreed on a partial ceasefire against energy. Technical teams will meet in Saudi Arabia in the coming days to discuss broadening the ceasefire to the Black Sea on the way to a full ceasefire. They agreed this could be the first step toward the full end of the war and ensuring security.
I hope
President
so.
Zelensky was grateful for the president's leadership in this effort and reiterated his willingness to adopt a full ceasefire. President Trump also discussed Ukraine's electrical supply and nuclear power plants. He said that the United States could be very helpful in running those plants with its electricity and utility expertise. American ownership of those plants would be the best protection for that infrastructure and support for Ukrainian energy infrastructure. President Zelensky also thanked President Trump for continuing to push humanitarian concerns, including the exchange of prisoners of war. He noted they had just had a successful exchange and thanked the president for his leadership on that. President Trump also asked President Zelensky about the children who had gone missing from Ukraine during the war, including the ones that had been abducted. And President Trump promised to work closely with both parties to help make sure those children were returned home. They agreed all parties must continue the effort to make a ceasefire work. The presidents noted the positive work of their advisors and representatives, especially Secretary Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, Special Envoy Kellogg, and others. The presidents instructed their teams to move ahead with the technical issues related to implementing and broadening the partial ceasefire. The presidents instructed their advisors and representatives to carry out this work as quickly as possible. The presidents emphasized that in further meetings, the teams can agree on all necessary aspects of advancing toward lasting peace and security. That is a lengthy statement that was.
Yeah, I was just about to comment. You have to tighten that stuff up during a press briefing. I understand Trump probably wants every word in there, but that has to be tightened up way more. You're going to lose a lot of people. You don't need all of that. So if you're following it up saying that is a long statement, you need to tighten that up big time.
Was just given to me, so thanks for bearing with me. Our office will, of course,
That's not
provide
good communication,
this
by the way.
after. And as you know, as I just pointed out in the statement, the president's team of negotiators and national security experts will be heading to Saudi again later this week to continue working on and ironing out the details. But I would just like to emphasize we have never been this close to peace, and it's only because of President Trump that we are here. I think a couple of years ago, as you all reported on the war, it was incomprehensible to have a partial ceasefire in this conflict. And today, that is true because of the leadership of this president.
So they
Mary.
agreed to closely share information between their defense staffs. Does that mean all intelligence sharing will continue? So the White House is rejecting Russia's request to pause that.
Intelligence sharing in terms of defense for Ukraine will continue to be shared. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions. One on the United States
I was surprised she answered that, to be honest.
Institute of Peace, and then on the Supreme Court, if that's okay.
Sure.
So on the United States Institute of Peace, this is a little bit wild. I understand the old president refused to leave after he was removed from his position. He barricaded himself in his offices, had to be escorted out by police, left the building without Wi-Fi, telephones, elevators, and more, and is now telling media that Doge broke in and illegally removed him. So can you comment on this sequence of events and specify, did Doge illegally enter?
I'm really glad you brought this up, Mary. We were made aware of this story by individuals at Doge, at Elon Musk's team, and also at the State Department who were unable to access this building. And it became very clear that there was a concerted effort amongst the rogue bureaucrats at the United States Institute of Peace to actually physically barricade themselves essentially inside of the building to prevent political appointees of this administration who work at the direction of the President of the United States to get into the building. There was a piece in the Daily Caller, thank you for sharing the truth on this, about what happened. Staff contacted the MPD in an attempt to prevent Doge personnel from entering. They barricaded the doors. They also disabled telephone lines, internet connections, and other IT infrastructure within the building. They distributed flyers internally in
Are these people crazy? Can we make mental institutions great again? Can we just start putting people back in mental institutions and stop allowing them to roam free and do crazy shit? All you need to do is put a bucket of hair dye, a few little hair clips, a bunch of duct tape, and you're good. You get all of them in there just easily. Just easy.
Encouraging each other to basically prevent these individuals from accessing the building. I use this to say this is what Doge and this administration is facing. It's a resistance from bureaucrats who don't want to see change in this city. President Trump was elected on an overwhelming mandate to seek change and implement change, and this is unacceptable behavior.
Thank you. And just really quick on the Supreme Court. I know it's been almost 3 years now since the leak of the draft Dobbs opinion to Politico, actually. A leak which sparked protesting outside the homes of the justices and even brought on one attempted assassination attempt. I know Justice Alito said that it made the justices targets for assassination, but yet the Supreme Court has not tracked down any leaker. Does the White House have interest in finding out who that leaker was, and can you comment on that at all?
I know generally speaking the president has an interest in finding leakers and he believes it's unacceptable, and it's the position of this administration. You've seen the Secretary of Homeland Security has taken tough action at her agency. Leaking is unacceptable to this president and to the leaders across the board in this cabinet, especially when it puts people in harm's way. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. A mom whose daughter was forced to change in a locker room with a biological male at school filed a complaint with the DOJ. How will the Trump DOJ deal with violations of President Trump's orders protecting women and girls like this?
I would defer you to the Department of Justice on that specific case, but the president has made it incredibly clear that it is the policy of this administration that there are only two genders, male and female, only two sexes rather, male and female, and that we are not going to tolerate such behavior by men pretending to be women. The president will continue to strongly stand for the rights of women and girls, not just in sports and on athletic fields, but also in private spaces like locker rooms and bathrooms.
I'm going to ask a question to Patriots in the chat. And please give your honest answer. Please don't have it be biased, right? Easier said than done. When I think about the word trans, that just means you're transitioning. You're changing from one thing to another. From my understanding, for all of human history, you cannot change from a male to a female. On a chromosome level, you can't do it. At least not yet. Thus, is it possible that trans is even a thing then? If it's not possible, then how is trans a thing? It's just cross-dressing. That's all it is. It's cross-dressing. I don't know why we play silly here. I don't know why we're pretending and play into this. Sorry, trans is not a thing.
Go ahead.
Thank you. On the FTC, two quick questions. Can you explain the president's thinking in his decision to fire the 2 Democratic commissioners, especially given that Mark Meadow is on track to be confirmed next week and there would be a Republican majority? My biggest question is why now?
Sure, because the time was right to let these people go, and the president absolutely has the authority to do it. And they were given ample notice in a letter that I believe your outlet reported on. So it pretty much explains exactly why this administration chose to let those individuals go.
Is the ultimate goal to get this to the Supreme Court to try to overturn the 1935 precedent?
The goal was to let these individuals go. If we have to fight it all the way to the Supreme Court, we certainly will. Rachel.
Back to those deportation flights to El Salvador, can the administration provide any more details on how authorities determined that each of those men were in fact members of a gang? And if the White House can publish images, photos, videos of those men, why can't the administration just release basic information like their identities and names?
We are not.
It's a fascinating, I don't want to say hypocrisy. The same people, meaning this lady here and her outlet, the same people that are complaining about Elon Musk having people's information and then possibly showing it out there, their private information, wants a bunch of people's private information to be shown to the American public. I don't get it. I mean, pick and choose, right? Well, they're illegal, so we can show their private information. It's almost as if the illegal immigrants still have more rights than we do.
Going to reveal operational details about a counterterrorism operation, but what I can assure you, as I said on Monday, we have the highest degree of confidence in our ICE agents and our Customs and Border Patrol agents who have committed their lives to targeting illegal criminals in our country, particularly foreign terrorists, and they had great evidence and indication. They have the highest degree of professionalism, and they were 100% confident in the individuals that were sent home on these flights and in the president's executive authority to do that.
To follow up, I know in the last briefing you cited privacy concerns as a reason why the administration may not be able to reveal the identities. What exactly are the privacy rights of immigrants who were deported that the administration says were dangerous enough to be sent to El Salvador and sit in a prison?
Again, as I just said, we're not going to reveal the operational details of a counterterrorism operation for quite obvious reasons. We're trying to combat terrorism here in the United States of America. Jeff.
I could ask something else about the phone call.
All right, here it is. This is CNN. Here we go. Debbie Downer's CNN. What's going on, Keith?
Yesterday, there was a couple different readouts from the Kremlin and the U.S. on a couple different points. One was energy and infrastructure. The U.S. statement said energy and infrastructure. The Kremlin said energy infrastructure. What is your understanding of what the actual substance of that the disagreement was? Then I have one other question on that.
I would defer you to the readout that was provided by the White House. That's our understanding, and that's the truth.
And if I could ask a question about the judge as well. How does a president define a bad judge? Is it just someone who disagrees with him? And is that a dangerous precedent in this case, because this is a temporary ruling from Judge Boasberg that he could ultimately rule in your favor? Is he setting up a standard here for calling for the impeachment of a judge who may ultimately rule on your side?
No.
Everything's so dangerous. The fear-mongering, it's so dangerous. It sets up a precedent. He might actually go your way. Shit. Oh, it's so terrible. Now, why do I talk about fear mongering? Is because if you remember, we talked about it in our book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. If you haven't gotten yourself a copy yet, you got to get yourself one or a friend. There's always a birthday. There's always an event going on. But we talked about how Charlie Chester, the original, I think it was CNN director, talked about how this movement of fear mongering was going to move forward in the CNN apparatus, the sphere, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's so dangerous. I'm Batman. Where's Rachel? Where's the narcotics?
It has nothing to do with disagreeing with the president on policy. It's with disagreeing with the Constitution and the law. And it's trying to usurp the authority of the executive branch of this country. It's having baseless reasoning for these injunctions. And it's a clear effort by these judges to slow roll this president's agenda. And if you just look at the injunctions that this president has faced, deporting foreign terrorists from our homeland, hiring and firing of executive branch employees, which when the president is the executive of the executive branch. You also see an injunction by a partisan activist judge when it comes to the Secretary of Defense trying to determine the readiness of our troops and the qualifications of our troops in our armed forces. Does a single district court judge really have more authority over the commander-in-chief and the Secretary of Defense to determine who should serve in our United States Armed Forces? Absolutely not. Anyone who has taken a basic civics lesson can understand that. And it's.
But they don't teach civics in school anymore. They haven't done so, folks, in like almost 20 years, 15 to a decade, a decade to 15 years, roughly in that time span. They haven't taught civics. So no, people probably don't know that.
Ridiculous lawfare that we are witnessing. And it's.
Said he supports. I'm sorry. The president said he respects the Chief Justice here. Mm-hmm. Does he respect him specifically on this case and this opinion? Or respects him overall, and has he spoken to any other Supreme Court justice?
The president respects Chief Justice Roberts overall. He just expressed that to me in the Oval Office. But it's also quite clear that the Supreme Court needs to rein in these judges who are acting as partisan activists, and they are undermining the judicial branch. And it's a dereliction of duty on their behalf. Deanna, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Caroline. On the call with Zelensky, did they discuss the minerals deal at all? Is that back on the table, and what do the Ukrainians have to do to get that back on the table? And then one on the Russia call as well.
Again,
some of these people actually have good questions, things that I'm curious about that honestly I forgot about that whole deal was on the table. And as Zelensky came to the White House and cried like a little bitch, and Trump kicked his ass out. So what happened to it? What's going on, Mike?
I just provided a very lengthy readout of the call that was provided by the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor. And now we have moved beyond the economic minerals deal. We are at a place of peace. We're at a partial ceasefire, and we're moving towards a full ceasefire and a long-standing peace in this conflict. And that's great news for the American public.
The Kremlin readout mentioned that Trump and Putin spoke about potential U.S.-Russia hockey games. And the Kremlin readout also said that Russia wanted the U.S. to stop U.S. intelligence and U.S. funding to Ukraine. The president has said that that conversation did not happen. Just wondering if you can get us any more clarity on that. And also, again, if it's energy infrastructure or if it's energy and infrastructure, because I think there is a big difference between that.
Again, as for the readouts of the call, I would defer you to ours. And when it comes to the topic of hockey, it did come up. However, we're more interested in securing a peace deal than scheduling hockey games right now. Sean.
Hey, about the deportation flight. So was it the president himself who directed the planes to stay in the air after the judge ordered them to turn back?
The president invoked the Aliens Enemies Act with a proclamation, which then directed the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State to move forward with the plan of action. And as I said yesterday, all of the planes that were subject to the judge's written order took off before the order was submitted in court. I was asked and answered that question multiple times yesterday. Kate, go ahead.
Is the president still considering pressuring Russia with sanctions or tariffs to try to get a full ceasefire? And is there any kind of deadline or timeline that the White House has in mind for when that pressure might ramp up?
Again, the president had a nearly 2-hour-long call with President Putin yesterday. We provided a readout of that call, and we have his negotiating team heading to the Middle East this week to continue these discussions in regards to sanctions and any other details. I'm not going to give a readout.
And there's a lot of stuff going on with Rubio in the mix. You got him go to Saudi Arabia along with a bunch of other negotiation team members to figure out this Ukraine Russia debacle. You got them trying to figure out the Iranian nuclear deal and see if we get something on that end. You also got the Israel-Gaza. I mean, that whole region across the world is just a bleep storm, is it not? God damn. Lord, I apologize for using your name in vain, but damn, we are in some stuff right now, folks. I'm so glad we live in this country. Am I not right? Don't we love living here? Make America great again. I love this country.
Read out of those from this podium.
And on TikTok, is Oracle the leading contender for a deal? And would the U.S. back a deal that keeps TikTok's algorithm and the underlying technology still in Chinese hands?
As President Trump does so well, we don't get ahead of ourselves when we are in the midst of the art of the deal. So when the president and this team are ready to announce a deal on TikTok, which is a high priority for the president, we will make that known. I've seen that reporting, but I'm not going to comment on it just yet. Sure, go ahead.
So Danny says, Brad, you should make mustache combs. Notice, she didn't say just combs in general. She was specific. Okay? Because I don't have any hair on my head. How can I make combs? But I can make little baby combs for the beard, little baby combs. This one's a little big, but you know, big comb for a big boy. Wouldn't that be funny if I just came on and just started brushing my hair just to you guys, just bald? I'm so cute. I'm transitioning.
Press Secretary Leavitt, some prominent Trump supporters have been making the case that Derek Chauvin deserves a pardon. They argue that he did not receive a fair trial. Joe Biden and other Democrats actually implied that he was guilty while the trial was going on. BLM rioters had these jurors under immense threat and pressure. Mainstream media, frankly, many news outlets here today are complicit here. They chose to ignore the autopsy report. They chose to ignore the full body camera footage. They decided to slander Derek Chauvin as a racist cop instead. Does the administration believe Derek Chauvin received a fair trial, and will they consider a pardon moving forward?
The president has been asked and answered this question. He said it's not something he's considering at this time. Philip.
Thank you. Two questions. First, just
Folks, this is where we put our listening ears on. There's few people that we actually give the respect that they deserve. So I'm going to go back for a second here. Folks, the man, the myth, the legend, the other gladiator in the room, a man that deserves a front row seat in my position, one of the greatest political writers / journalists out there, one of the few that still does their job correctly. We have Philip Wegman, our boy, in the seat with Real Clear Politics, getting a question in today. Let's roll it.
It's not something he's considering at this time. Philip.
Thank you. Two questions. First, just a follow-up on the readouts from those calls. When it comes to the discrepancies between the U.S. and Russian readout of that call between President Trump and Putin, is it the president's assessment that something is getting lost in translation, or does he believe that the Russians are trying to play games here?
Nope. The president believes in his team that put the readout out, and he also put his own out on Truth Social. We've been incredibly transparent about all of the president's calls with foreign leaders, and again, I would defer you to the readout.
And then following up
Michael.
on...
Oh, come on. Give him another one. He's a guy that advocates for us. Come on, Caroline. Okay, I don't mean to be rude, but you got to know who in the room actually is a good reporter. And this tells me that we actually haven't scoped it out hard enough. Maybe I'm wrong. Phil asks really good questions. And by the way, I want to point out, I don't know if Phil's a Republican or Democrat. And I've always said this, I really don't care. But he actually does. He's one of the few that has very, very good and deep questions, by the way.
Caroline, White House said yesterday that gas prices across the U.S. have fallen for the fourth straight week. 34 states now seeing gas under $3 a gallon. This limited ceasefire with Ukraine regarding oil refineries, energy, will that affect gas prices here in the U.S.?
Well, it's certainly the president's hope that gas prices will continue to fall, and he's working every single day to ensure that we do. As you just mentioned, there's been very encouraging data. Inflation is cooling and gas prices are falling. The president has established a National Energy Dominance Council, and it's ultimately the president's goal. And this administration is working hard on it every single day to increase our energy production right here in the United States of America, to have a Trump energy boom like we saw in our first term, which will not only lead to lower fuel prices here at home, but but also lessen the rate of inflation that was created by the previous administration.
One more on Tesla, Caroline. Tim Walz, Governor Walz, saying last night he frequently checks Tesla stock. In doing so, to quote, give me a little boost during the day. How should Americans view politicians who take pride in the downfall of an American car company?
I think that's quite sad, but I think Governor Walz unfortunately is living a sad existence after his devastating defeat on November 5th.
When Trump debates people, he messes them up. It is, I mean, he doesn't physically fight. He fights with his words, and man, it fucks you up. Every person we've seen him go up against just doesn't come out the same person. Hillary Clinton, I always share this story. It seems like I'm fabricating it, but I'm not. She left. She went off in the middle of the woods. Somebody stumbled across her like she was some sort of lurking mystic creature. Just, help me, Hillary, where's Bill? Like, holy shit, who are you, lady? Get away, I'll mace you. Like, fuck. So she was in the middle of the woods. Then he took Joey's dead body and just, right? To the point where they kicked Joey out, the most popular president that's allegedly ever existed. They just gave him to the boot. And then he just went off the deep end, right? We never saw the guy again. He couldn't even write his own signature. He's still not potty trained. He's gone. Kamala Harris. I mean, she started drinking after, right? She was just on the plane, you know, with that clip that we saw in the window. She's just like, alcohol, please. Thank you. Like she's messed up. We haven't seen her for a while. Tim Walz is getting off on some stock market stuff and then still saying that he's a tough guy and, you know, that he's not weird. And his daughter comes out and makes a weird ass video and he just messes people up, man.
Reagan, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Across the country, Tesla cars are being lit on fire, dealerships are being shot up, Molotov cocktails are being used. There was a website posted yesterday that shared the addresses of private Tesla owners.
That's messed up.
Reportedly had Kash Patel's information on it. AG Bondi has called this acts of domestic terrorism. Does the White House have any indication that this is some sort of coordinated movement or that's being funded by some outside group? And do you know if the investigation by the DOJ is being investigated as incidents of organized terror?
I believe the Attorney General has made her comments.
I have to pause this. Sometimes the chat is too good. Now, Autumn is sweet. Autumn is a longtime follower of the TheBaldBradShow. And Autumn, I'm going to read it as if how I read it. Do you think somebody let Joe finally die? I don't wish ill will upon anybody other than terrorists and evil people. And some of you people, some of you patrons think, you know, Joey's evil. That's not part of the discussion. That's just how I read it. I appreciate that. That just had me cracking up.
It's clear on that. She is investigating these events as acts of domestic terrorism, and we fully condemn them. And as I said earlier to Jackie's question, we think it's despicable what is happening to not just this American company, but also their innocent employees. And again, innocent Americans who drive these vehicles. We condemn it wholeheartedly. Sure.
I'm going to say this again. Make mental institutions great again. These people are mentally off. They're not normal, man. I'm not even talking about Democrats. Just there's people roaming around that are just off the reservation. I don't care if you're who the hell you are. I don't think it's right to burn somebody's property, steal it, do anything to it, even look at it weird. Leave people alone. This is where we're at as a country, man. We're just letting these people just roam around like NPCs, burning down dealerships, our businesses through the forms of Black Lives Matter and Antifa, beating the shit out of pedestrians, throwing hot diarrhea in their face like we're seeing in California. That's a real thing, by the way. I didn't make that up. That was a story about from like 10 years ago. Homeless person crapped into a hot can of coffee bean can and knocked on a lady's window, and she opened up her door and he threw it on her face. It's a true story. I'm not making that up. That is 100% true.
More than 24,000
Democrat ran area.
agencies are in the process of being reinstated.
What is your message to these workers, and can you assure them they won't be fired again as the administration directs agencies to do more layoffs?
Well, the administration is complying with the court's order, again, as I have spoken about repeatedly.
I'm going to go back for a second. I think her name's Kara, the girl in the blue. She's one of my new favorites. If you haven't haven't caught on yet, she's my new fave. And I'm not being sarcastic. I really do mean that. She's hot. She's smart. She knows what's going on. And she has the best facial reactions. What you're going to see, I wish I could zoom in for you. Just, you know what? Get like in the face. You know what I mean? Like, get this close. Get in here. Get close to the monitor. Get close. Because I want you to see. She gives this look like, what a fucking stupid question. Watch. Tell me if I'm wrong here. What a stupid question. I love her. She's great.
Agencies are in the process of being reinstated. What is your message
Watch
to
right
these
there.
workers, and can you assure them they won't be fired again as the administration directs agencies to do more layoffs?
Well, the administration is complying with the court's order. Again, as I have spoken about repeatedly, we think it's despicable that we have judges acting as judicial activists, partisan activists, trying to dictate who the president of the United States, the executive of the executive branch, can hire and fire. We have never seen anything like this. We are fighting this in court, and we will continue to fight it all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to. And as for federal employees, it's been the very common sense position.
I don't have nose hairs, do I? I don't have nose hairs. What are you talking about? Thanks, trim, man. I'm looking good. Get out of here, Pat. What the hell are you doing? I'm looking good, Pat. I have nose hairs, really? I'm looking okay. There might be something up there. Look at it later. Appreciate the heads up, buddy.
Of this president and the administration, that bureaucrats here in Washington, D.C. need to show up to the office just like the rest of America. Middle-class Americans, from doctors to business owners to teachers to law enforcement officers, have to show up to their offices every single day. And the president has made it a clear priority that people in this city have to do the same. And we are also continue to be committed to reducing the scale of our workforce and to reducing the size of our federal bureaucracy here in Washington, D.C. to save taxpayers' money. Annie, go ahead.
Thanks so much. In the statement that you read, you referenced the president's interest in helping return Ukrainian children to their...
Did you guys see the wink? Did you see the wink?
The president's interest in helping return Ukrainian children to their parents, to their families. There's an organization that provides intel and information about those children that their aid has been cut. It's a Yale University program that used foreign aid. And I'm curious if, as part of this new thinking with Ukraine, that aid might be unfrozen.
I have no updates about that or that specific program at this time. Karen.
Thanks, Caroline. Just to follow up on your answer to the question on the minerals deal, you said that the White House has moved beyond the minerals deal. What does that mean? Is that no longer on the table?
Nope. It means the minerals deal was that first set of framework that you all saw in that very public meeting with President Zelensky and President Trump in the Oval Office. We are now focused on a long-term peace agreement. As you know, on that deal or that meeting between President Zelensky and President Trump, the Ukrainian president at the time wasn't talking about a greater peace deal. We are now at that place where we are talking about that. So we've moved beyond just the economic minerals deal framework, and we're looking at a lasting ceasefire. Right now we're at a partial ceasefire, but again, the president is sending his highly skilled, intelligent, and experienced team to Saudi Arabia later this week to continue fighting for peace in this conflict. And I would just reiterate one more time, we have never been closer to peace than we are today. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you later.
So it may, and maybe I'm reading this wrong. I'm trying, it's not clear. And maybe it is, and I'm just being an idiot. Look, I'm a dum-dum. I've explained that before. So the minerals deal is out. And it's not a part of the bigger, broader peace agreement. That's what I got. A little fuzzy around the edges. Gotta admit, I don't know. Because it almost seems like, was it part of it? Was it not part of it? I don't know. Well, we're going to get into some news here, folks. If you're just joining us, hit that like button. This is Dark MAGA. We do this every Tuesday, Thursday. Usually it's on Rumble Premium, but we got to open the doorways to everybody every once in a while so we can have fun. So hit that like button for us if you haven't already. We have Donald Trump. We have the man, the myth. He's here big time. Hold on one second, folks. Gotta make sure this is muted. We got Donald Trump getting rid of the Department of Education. Now, this is fine. Nothing happens. We didn't used to have a Department of Education. Everything was fine. You bring it back to the states. You bring it back to the localities, how things are supposed to function. This is why you need civics in school. Honestly, to tell people how things are supposed to be ran, how things were made originally in this country for a reason, so that you and the person that's representing you have a relationship with one another, and they're the ones that can dictate in the local levels what happens to you, meaning you can actually go talk to them. We can't go talk to Trump necessarily, and if you can, you go let me know, because I will come hang out with you and we can go talk to Trump together. We can hang out and have cigars. But from my understanding, nobody of us knows Donald Trump, and we don't have that face-to-face with him so that he can do things that we want. That is done by your mayors, your city council members, those types of people, your neighborhood watch, your HOA, even though we don't like HOAs, they're a bunch of dicks. If any of you in here are part of your HOAs, get out of there. We don't like you. Even if you're a part of the Patriot family, get out of the HOA. You're not welcome. Kidding. You know we love you, but really we don't like the HOA. But you get what I'm trying to say here. So Senator Mike Rounds said that he has been in discussions with President Donald Trump's White House to revive his bill to dismantle the Department of Education, which would codify the latest executive order. This is something we brought up this morning where we said, hey, look, Donald Trump needs to do something more here. We can't have all these executive orders. They're not necessarily meaningless, but I said that this is going to have legal issues behind it, because when Congress was the person that put forth, I believe, the Department of Education, and I'm fully possible wrong there on that one, but I think it was. I know Jimmy Carter was involved, right, and all those things, but I believe it was Congress, the one that put it forth, meaning Congress would be the one that has to remove it. In the same way you have that with other sectors that's dealing with money, like USAID. I mean, it should be up to Congress to remove that. I like the executive order, but I want it codified so that somebody else can't come in and switch it. And if they try, well, you got to go through Congress to do it. He has all three branches of government. I think he should try. So in the lead up to Trump's much anticipated executive order to abolish the department, his administration has been in talks with a longtime advocate of doing so, Rounds. His office shared with Fox News Digital that the senator with Trump's White House have talked about bringing back his bill to abolish the department and pushing for it. Totally on board for this, by the way. The federal bureaucracy of education has never educated a single student, the senator told Fox News Digital in a statement. It's time to shut it down. I want to point out, just because you shut down the Department of Education does not mean education is going to get any better. Just because you take it back to the states and local levels, it's not going to get any better, because the problem's not up the top, folks. The problem is, trust me, down at the bottom. I don't need to rehash that out. We've talked about enough here over the last 4 years about the education system. The problem, I'm telling you, ain't necessarily the education system. Shit, folks, algebra's been around for thousands of years. If your kid can't learn algebra, there's something deeper going on, okay? They used to chisel that shit in the stone. That's how old algebra is. Not to mention, you got artificial intelligence. You can learn anything you want nowadays on the internet. Everybody has their lectures. Everybody teaches everybody. It's an excuse why somebody can't learn something. Okay? That's all it is. Well, why didn't you learn this? Maybe you didn't have time. Maybe you were too busy. But at the end of the day, you had an opportunity. You just didn't want to do it. You might as well call it what it is. You didn't want to do it. It's not the person's fault that's teaching it. It's somebody else's fault, which is you. That's all it is. I am working on legislation that would return education decisions to states and local school districts while maintaining important programs like special education and Title I. We're discussing this legislation with Secretary McMahon, and we believe there is a good path forward. They're freaking out like, oh, how could you do it? Right, I'm going to burn down fucking more buildings and Teslas if you don't give us our education. Because that makes sense. These people are crazy, man. I told you, they're crazy. Give it back to the localities and disperse out to other departments the Title I, the special education, and have it still funded. It's not a big deal. But the left spaz out because they can't understand, like, oh, he's going to get rid of it. Oh my God, it's over. It's GG. It's game over. No, it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be, by the way, there's more pros than there is cons to this, okay? We discussed them in our morning show. We actually went through the pros and cons. So there's really like only two. If you didn't catch that, check out our morning show after this podcast. Please come hang out. We would love to have you join us in the mornings. Now, speaking of Teslas being burned, allegedly, You got Democrats here who have spoken passionately against domestic terrorism go silent as Tesla tortures are charged. Uh-oh. Attorney General Pam Bondi on Tuesday labeled the violent streak of vandalism against Tesla vehicles and showrooms as domestic terrorism, an issue Democrats have rallied against for years. Fox News Digital asked 13 Democrats who sponsored legislation to combat domestic terrorism if they agreed with Bondi's decision. And guess what? All of a sudden, nowhere to be found. We don't know where to find them. Didn't have a thing to say. All of a sudden, none of the lawmakers responded. How convenient. Now, come here. No. Come here, Patriots. Come on. Come in here. Come in for the real deal, the closeness. How many times have I told you that they love this stuff? They love burning down buildings. They love the crime. They love the smash and grabs, the homelessness, the drug-ridden, infested areas. They love it. And they will continue to vote for it. They bask in it. They salivate in it. We don't. I don't want any of that. I don't want homelessness. I don't want people on the streets. I don't want people doing drugs. I don't want crazy people out there molesting kids and doing weird shit with them. I don't want any of that. I want people to live in harmony and have a good time and have, people following the law. And what's wild to the left is we're the crazy ones because we want to make America great again. We want people to follow the law. We want people to stop killing each other. We don't want wars. We want cheap products that last a long time. We want people to live in harmony and peace and get along as neighbors and all those things. But we're the psychos for just wanting that. I've always said in the state of California, I'm not exaggerating, me saying, hey, we should deport criminals that are molesting, raping, murdering, and killing Americans. We should get rid of them and put them in prisons. You can lose your job in the state of California for that. And I'm not being facetious. I'm not joking. I'm as serious as I possibly can be. You can lose your job. I can lose my job for saying that. That's why I keep saying it. Yeah, I'm the psycho. I'm the crazy one. Yeah, I'm a tyrant. Yeah. The FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force is investigating the ongoing Tesla attacks across the U.S. from Oregon to Massachusetts because these people are crazy. Tesla cars and facilities have been vandalized in at least 7 locations. They're spray painting it right. They're filling up beer bottles and using them as mocktail cocktails, basically, lighting places on fire. They're shooting up Teslas as well. They're shooting into the vehicles. And what began as protests against Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency have escalated into violent incidents, including shots fired at a building, destroyed dealership windows, and charging stations set on fire. But I was told this Democrat Party is all-inclusive. I was told that they welcome everybody with open arms. I was told we were the extremists, a threat to democracy, that we want to rip up the Constitution and burn the country to the ground. That's what I was told for years. I can even name you to the people that said it. Maxine Waters, Cori Bush, Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, Jen Psaki, pretty much everybody over at CNN and MSNBC. I mean, we can name the names. That's how much they said it. We actually know who they are. AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. I mean, the list goes on, right? We're a threat to democracy. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. I mean, it's amazing how we know them. Because, you always have to bring their sheets. Oh, who said that? Who said it? Like, why don't you go look it up? I always say this. I hate when people go, oh, well, what's your source? Why don't you go fucking look it up? Like, you don't have the internet or a cell phone to go look it up. Give me a break. Act like an adult. Go find it yourself. Former President Joe Biden's administration launched the first ever national strategy for countering domestic terrorism in 2021, identifying domestic terrorism as a major national security threat. Oh, well, particularly in the aftermath of when? January 6th. Congressional Democrats led their own legislative efforts to combat domestic terrorism during the Biden administration, but none of them want to respond to what's going on now with Teslas being burned, right? Going after our cities in the same way they were completely silent when Black Lives Matter burned down our cities. And then you got MSNBC out there going, yeah, it's pretty warm. It's pretty hot around my back area, Janine, but it's mostly peaceful. Hey, Frank, is that a building on fire behind you? That might be. Frank, I think those people are throwing mocktail cocktails, burning down businesses. Well, there was a black business owner out here, and he couldn't believe that we burned his building down, but it's pretty fine out here. Y'all remember that, right? MSNBC or CNN, one or the other. So, that's all domestic. But, when leftists do it, oh, it's not a problem. Yeah, we got to turn the blind eye to that one. Unbelievable shenanigans from the left. Typical. I'm not surprised by it. If anything, I'm surprised they haven't done even more horrors and bad things. And, there's other people that are in the news today, and that would be Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is out slapping around these CNN panelists regarding these violent attacks on Tesla. Here we go.
There's also, on the subject of Elon Musk, there's been all kinds of vandalism against Teslas and Tesla dealerships all over the country. Las Vegas, Kansas City, Encinitas, Buffalo Grove, Littleton, Mass. I grew up right next to Littleton, Mass. Loveland, Colorado, Tigard,
Look at that.
all over the place.
The other night, Donald Trump said these are domestic terrorists. Everybody laughed about it and scoffed at it. That video looks like terrorism to me. I mean, it's obviously an organized, coordinated effort, however people are communicating with each other, to do this to people around the country who chose to buy a Tesla at some point in the past, many of whom I'm sure are Democrats who bought them in the first place, all because their entire political worldview is ruled by their emotions.
There you go.
And that's the American left right now. It is one angry mob after another willing to take things into their own hands, up to and including keying, firebombing, and otherwise vandalizing cars and car dealerships and charging stations. It's outrageous. It is terrorism. People ought to be put in jail and left there for a very long time and be taught a lesson. This right here, what's going on with a guy who helps our country, who runs successful companies, who doesn't have to be doing this, and now one of his companies is under systematic terroristic threat and violence all over the country, and people seem to be laughing about it or fine with it. It's outrageous. I've sat at this table and had people say, we should cut Elon Musk from the government totally. He rescued our astronauts today. Is that what we want? The treatment of this guy is outrageous. These people who are doing this need to be found, put in jail, and made an example of. That's my point.
Did you see her facial expressions? As if like what he's saying is preposterous, like she can't fathom what he's even talking about. I mean, the whole panel there is just, they're so far gone. You can't talk to lefty. They're manipulative people, man. There's a reason why I don't do debates and I don't spend time talking to too many people, is because it's not worth my time. Like when I talk, if you ever came on one of my TikTok lives and I talk with somebody, I engage with the left or Democrat Party, one or the other, doesn't matter to me, with just like, yeah, maybe things will happen, like just nonchalant, because I'm an average Joe American. I'm not hard right, whatever the hell that means. I'm just a normal guy when I say, yeah, I don't want people being raped. Don't want them here. I don't want murderers here. They should be in prison. Yeah, race doesn't matter to me. And then because it's probably the first time they talk to a Republican, they're like, oh, wow, yeah, no, we're pretty much similar. Yeah, we don't really have much differences other than maybe some outcomes on how we get there. These people are off their rocker, man. Just nuts, dude. I don't know if that was the full clip, but that was the clip at least that's circling around the internet right now with Scott Jennings. And it just shows you how sicko these people are, man. It's bonkers, dude. They're laughing about freaking people burning other people's property down. It's crazy. But I will say this is reminiscent of somebody that's in the education system. Just in the same way when somebody's being beaten, like an old man just got punched behind the head and knocked out, possibly killed, that we've seen video of these teenagers running rampant in the streets. They laugh about it. They think it's funny. Or them beating the shit out of a teacher on camera on cell phone. You got 35 of them in the classroom just laughing it up. Nobody's helping the teacher. Just laughing at them. They think it's hilarious because these people are fucking sadistic, man. And we just let them roam free and we let them get away with it. These same people are burning down Teslas. They're sadistic. They're not normal people. And we pretend like they're normal people. Not us. No, we know they ain't normal. But it's not normal to burn somebody's property. And for some ungodly reason, the left thinks it's normal. And by the way, for the people that went inside January 6th, my logic's linear. It ain't fucking normal to go in there and start running around a Capitol as a freaking human being, like an adult. It's not normal. You know what I mean? You got to be linear with this stuff. You got to be linear. Looks like I think Jeff sent me the clip itself. So let's check it out here. Oh, it's a Brandon Tatum though. Nothing against Brandon. It's just I might get flagged for showing it. Let me see if I can find the clip itself. I can't. I don't want to get copyrighted. And Brandon's great. I've actually done a Instagram live with Brandon Tatum about the scriptures. Let let me see here. Let me see if I can find Scott Jennings. The full clip. Let's see if we get the full clip. But if you're enjoying what you're seeing really quick, hit that like button, folks. It'd be greatly appreciated. And Scott's putting in the Lord's work with the panel over at CNN. It might be a little bit tough to find here. And again, if Brandon's cool with me showing it, but I don't want to do that. I try my best not to take other people's content. And I should actually be doing a better job at highlighting the sources that I have and show. So while we're doing this, let me see if maybe we could find the full clip. Usually we can, but yeah, okay, I got it. I got it right here. Here we go.
So doubtful it's Republicans attacking Tesla dealerships around the country. It's pretty wild, actually. The other night, Donald Trump said these are domestic terrorists. Everybody laughed about it and scoffed at it. That video looks like terrorism to me. I mean, it's obviously an organized, coordinated effort, however people are communicating with each other, to do this to people around the country who chose to buy a Tesla at some point in the past, many of whom I'm sure were Democrats who bought them in the first place, all because their entire political worldview is ruled by their emotions. And that's the American left right now. It is one angry mob after another willing to take things into their own hands, up to and including keying, firebombing, and otherwise vandalizing cars and car dealerships and charging stations. It's outrageous. It is terrorism. People ought to be put in jail and left there for a very long time and be taught a lesson.
So when they do it to a Tesla dealership, it's really bad. But when they do it to the halls of Congress, we should pardon them. Is that your position?
No, I've never. I don't
Are
support.
you okay with the January 6th pardons?
I know you haven't been around for a while, so let me educate you about my position about January the 6th.
I'm so sorry.
Let me educate you.
No, you don't need to patronize me.
You don't need to. You don't need to be condescending to me. So let me educate you about my position. You want to attack me? Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Let's do this January 6th and then near it.
I'm sorry you're getting emotional.
I'm sorry you're a condescending person who hasn't been paying attention to what I do.
Okay. Stop, guys.
So here's the issue. I didn't support what happened on January the 6th and was one of the first Republicans to call it out. I don't support the pardons. I have repeatedly, just like my friend Ashley here, said that no violence in our political system is acceptable. But this right here, what's going on with a guy who helps our country, who runs successful companies, who doesn't have to be doing this, and now one of his companies is under systematic terroristic threat and violence all over the country, and people seem to be laughing about it or fine with it. It's outrageous. I've sat at this table and had people say, we should cut Elon Musk from the government totally. He rescued our astronauts today. Is that what we want? The treatment of this guy is outrageous.
Oh, come on. At the best part. Hold on. I'm so sorry. It's not me. It only does this on X, man. Now I got to freaking find it again. God, that's so unprofessional of me. I'm so sorry. Here we go. I got it. I apologize, folks.
Who runs successful companies, who doesn't have to be doing this, and now one of his companies is under systematic terroristic threat and violence all over the country, and people seem to be laughing about it or fine with it. It's outrageous. I've sat at this table and had people say, we should cut Elon Musk from the government totally. He rescued our astronauts today. Is that what we want? The treatment of this guy is outrageous. These people who are doing this need to be found, put in jail, and made an example of. That's my point.
Anyone who commits violence against Tesla or Congress or anyone else should be put in jail, 1,000%. But that should not stifle dissent or opposition from Elon Musk.
Give it a little lip service. Give it a little both sides. Go ahead.
No, both sides here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to say that people are legitimately upset. They're legitimately upset at Elon Musk, and they're doing it on their own, but there's no reason to have violence in the country. But I just wish all of us would support criticism of, or would support punishing people who are violent wherever they are.
Damn, man. All right. We might have to play that tomorrow morning again on the Bald Brad Show. Woo. Scott me a little bit feisty over there, huh? Hey, you know what? Rightfully so. I look, guys do it too. So ladies, the Patriot ladies in here, trust me, I understand guys do this too. I've dated manipulative women like that give you that smug look, that try to almost seem like they're the victim all the time, and they'll twist your words and do all that shit, and they act like they don't know what they're doing, but you know what they're doing. The left does it all the time, and I hate it. It's evil, it's scummy, and it's wrong. You know what you're doing. Scott called her out on her bullshit, and she got nervous. She got a little scared because the alpha came out. And I think there's a little bit more to this, man. I'm telling you, I look, there was something in the powder room, you know. Scott's getting his powder done, and she came in there and broke wind or something, you know. I don't know, but Scott wasn't happy about it. No, sir, he didn't like that. Well, we got more stuff coming out with these psychos and Tesla. I thought I had one queued up here for y'all. Whoa, that's loud. But there's people like taking, yeah, it's this guy right. Is this guy right here? There's people being filmed going after Teslas, but they're also like digging in their pants and wiping their feces on Teslas and stuff. I mean, these people are deranged, you guys. I'm trying to find it for you. Here we go. I knew I had it somewhere. These people are deranged, man. They're sickos, dude. So here's this guy. Yeah, watch this guy. Digs in his pants. He digs in his what, and then wipes it. Look at this. What's wrong with these people? I mean, he is really going in. Who does that? Not normal people. They aren't normal. The left is not normal. Freaking gross, man. Telling you what, these people are sickos. They're psychos. These are the people that will kill you, folks. Really, these are people that are so deranged that they'll just attack you for no reason. They'll shoot you and leave for no reason. That's why I say always, you know, keep the lookout going. Keep your head on a swivel. People are nuts, man. Freaking nuts. Somebody that's not nuts that has their head on straight. Well, that's Donald Trump here signing the executive order, baby. I wanted to make sure I show this clip tonight. Here he is, man. Look at that, the little school desk and all that stuff. How cute are these kids? It's nice to have a president that's not sniffing them for once, huh?
It was very lucky. I signed another document that turned out to be very good for the country, and I said, let's use that same pen. I don't know, is anybody superstitious? Ron, are you superstitious? Let's use that same pen.
I don't know if you saw that kid. Thank you. Thank you, President Trump. Some kid had like a flag. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know where they were. This kid right here had like a flag. My head's in the way. Hold on a second. You see the flag? Just, oh shit. Look, if anything, what these all say is that just tells you the education system has failed, right? Draws a heart. Like, there's only one thing, you're supposed to sign it yourself. Oh, goodness. Well, folks, I think we'll end it there. We've been streaming for an hour and a half. Dark MAGA tends to only go for an hour. But we also got to do a little bit of show prep tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. It's more of a lax podcast, which I love. That means there's not a ton that goes into it. We pull up the articles that we weren't able to get through the week. We bring up the stuff that makes us laugh, makes us cry, makes us a little bit pissed off. But we also spend more time in the chat. And that was a great day to make sure you get in the fan funding, baby. No, I'm kidding. But hopefully everybody enjoyed their time this evening. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Are we supposed to be raiding somebody else today? You guys want to raid somebody again? You guys like doing that, it seems like. So if you're new here, we usually head over to Rumble at the very end. If you're over at YouTube, we usually head over to Rumble and we raid somebody really quickly. So let me see who we should raid. You guys want to do a small creator again? Should we do somebody like really small? Yeah, right now. Yeah, why not? I'm gonna end right now. I gotta go eat and I gotta prepare for tomorrow's episode. But I want to raid somebody. Doesn't mean you got to stick around in their show. You know what I mean? It's just an opportunity. You guys want to do Tim IRL again? We did Tim yesterday. We could do him again. That's what she said. Do you guys want it? I mean, who do you guys want to do? That's what she said. I just, you know. Yeah. We can go in there for a little bit. So raiding Autumn is where we're going to take all our viewership, all our people over on Rumble, and we're going to send like 100 people to this another channel. The raid this morning was epic. I'll have to watch it. I had to head to work, but I was trying to watch on my way to work a little bit. Do you guys want to do Timcast again? I don't know. You want to do Charlie Kirk? Let's do Charlie Kirk. I'm going to do Charlie Kirk. So let's do that. I'm gonna do Charlie Kirk. Should we do Laura or you guys pick Charlie or Laura? What do y'all want to do? All right, we'll do Kirk. I'll see you over there, folks.